Well, some members of the House of Representatives from the northern region are worried about the absence of compressed natural gas conversion, that's CNG conversion centers in the country northeast and northwest geopolitical zones. Lawmakers made their stance known during the consideration of a motion titled Call to Establish More Compressed Natural Gas Conversion Centers Across Nigeria, moved by the member representing Dala Federal Constituency, Kano State, Honorable Aliyu Madaki. Madaki said part of the plans before the takeoff of the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative was that the federal government will establish CNG conversion centers in some states. Well, Michael Oluwagbemi, the program director, Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, he joins us now on the news to discuss moves to establish another 250 CNG conversion centers in Nigeria before the end of the year. Good to have you join us. This is not the first time I have had to spar with you. I don't know who won. But the 250 new centers, well, let's start from there. Talk to us about it before we talk about some other issues here.
To your point, Nigeria won, always wins. That's our expectation.
Well, Nigeria
yes. So, good evening to your viewers, and thanks for always having me back on. I think first and foremost is to say that I think we have made a lot of progress from where we were last year when we rolled out this program. So it was May last year when we rolled out this initiative after about 5-6 months of planning. And naturally speaking, when you are rolling out any new initiative, especially one that is underpinned by a relatively new technology that requires infrastructure, you start with the area of highest concentration, and then you dissipate out from there. So what we have done in the last 1 year, and it's actually good news that the House of Rep actually recognized that there's considerable impact of having CNG in the states that have them. Today, about 19 states of the Federation have some presence of CNG, and we expect that will extend to 30 states before the end of the year. That's a lot more than the 5 states. Only 5 states had CNG when we started out May of last year. That was Lagos, Ogun, Edo, Kogi, and FCT. So for us, that we can boast of 19 of 36 states and the FCT today is an appreciable progress. So yes, there is a plans for us to expand beyond where we are today. We currently have 251 plus conversion centers across the country that are certified. And of that amount, about 210 of them are working with us at the PCNGI. We expect to double that number before the end of this year. We continue to see appreciable investments. And I want to emphasize, the federal government is not the one that builds conversion centers. What we do is that we've created a program called the Conversion Incentive Program that incentivizes the private sector to invest. And those incentives are commercial incentives that, of course, gives them all of the necessary financial accommodations, including VAT tax waiver, waiver on CNG itself.
Isn't there a challenge or a problem in that if you said the federal government, I'm just thinking, is not involved, if the private sector that you're talking about are not interested, there's a snag. I mean, you're assuming that they will be interested. I'm saying that if some are interested and majority are not interested, there will be a lag and a snag. I mean, how are you going to walk around that?
No, so I think just like the president, we believe strongly that once the federal government does its job of creating the right investment environment and provides the right financial incentives and creates the market. So what we're doing is, instead of doing supply stimulation, what we're doing is demand stimulation. So what we're doing is stimulating the demand by doing the conversion incentive program that provides free conversions to certain classes of vehicle users, especially the commercial operators, NURTW, NATO, RITIAN, and the rest of them, and providing significant discount to others. For example, the Bolt and Uber drivers gets 50% off. And then we are expanding that program very soon. I'm not here to break news, to even civil servants that will now be able to finance and also enjoy significant discounts. Even our soldiers are going to very soon be enjoying some significant discount to convert their vehicles. So that's demand stimulation. By doing demand stimulation and paying for the installation, you know that if you set up a conversion center, the federal government will send you customers, and we pay for those customers. Automatically, that of course incentivizes you to set up, these conversion centers. So ultimately, I think our strategy has worked. We went from 7 to 251 today within a year. And I think that if we double it in another 6-7 months, we'll have achieved our goals by and large. And I think we're on course to do it. Every month we're adding anything between 50 and 70 convention centers.
Right.
And there will be convention centers in new parts of the country, including the north.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm going to take you to now. Absolutely. Because from what you just listened to me read, members of the House, particularly from the North, Northeast, and Northwest, are saying, actually worried that there are not enough centers. Yeah. So, I mean, how do you address that? Because they've even made their stance known during consideration of a motion title called to establish more centers.
Sure. So I think what they need to understand, and I think I have a public hearing in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. First and foremost is that this conversion can only happen when there's gas. The most northernmost point of gas today in Nigeria is Ajaokuta in Kogi State, correct? And CNG can only go technically up to between 250 and 300 kilometers from that point. And that's why the most northernmost point of CNG application today is Kaduna State. And it's not because we are doing that, it's because technically it's limited by that. To solve that problem, in March of this year, we signed groundbreaking agreements to invest in mini LNG. Now with LNG, you can extend the reach of CNG from just that 300 kilometers to almost infinite. I mean, you can go as far as 1,000, 1,500 kilometers from the point of LNG. So we are directly investing in that to make sure that all of these parts of the north that do not or cannot currently get gas can get it. And once they get gas, then they can get conversion.
So how slow or quick?
So it's already happening. It's good news is that in about 2 weeks' time.
It looks like it's slow.
No, not really. In 2 weeks' time, look, you've gone from 7 to 250 in a year. I don't know any program.
Did you expect much more than that? Because
I don't know how, but let me give you good news. Okay. In 2 weeks' time, the first refueling station will open in Yola, and that's going to be done by Greenville, an LNG program. And they are currently picking up their LNG from all the way from River State, and it's going to go to Yola, and that's good news. The same thing will be extended very quickly to Katsina, to Kano, to Jigawa, as well as Sokoto. Beyond that, the federal government directly is also investing in 20 universities, what we call the Project Citadel, which is a 20 university program with MDGIF, the Midstream Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund. They're funding 10 universities in the north and 10 universities in the south, providing them refueling infrastructure. And so states like Yobe, states like Jigawa, states like Kano, Meduguri, all of them are going to be benefiting from that program. The same MDGIF, and they're doing that in concert with us. We are also now deploying buses and tricycles and conversion programs alongside the MDGIF that is deploying the infrastructure.
All right.
And that will happen in the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, Michael, the whole idea of the CNG is to be able to beat down the cost of doing business of transportation. The costs are still high. I mean, of transporting your Uber. In fact, I was discussing with somebody before I came on air, and one of the challenges people have now is it is taking about 2 hours to, do you say fuel your car in terms of CNG? Okay. So it's taking about 2 hours.
Correct.
And I mean, that's what it takes when you have scarcity of fuel. So I mean, that's quite a problem.
Yes, it is a challenge. Like I said, it's a new technology. We are currently limited in terms of the footprint of refueling stations. It takes about 12 to 18 months to build one, right? So it's not as if we can snap our fingers and then they just show up everywhere you go. As we speak, there are about 175 CNG data stations under development, including the 20 I just mentioned that is being done by FEMADEC in concert with MDGIF. We also have an NNPC doing about 100. We have NIPCO doing about 32, 12 of them already operational. AY Shafa is doing 10, Bovas is doing 8. And we have many independents, including independent conversion centers, working with us that are setting up 10 as we speak, 6 of which should be commissioned before June 12th. So all of this comes on, it will ease this problem. Just like, I tell everybody to recall, I remember when the GSM technology came on ground. Initially, it's not everywhere that had towers. You just strayed a little bit out of urban centers and you lost call. But over time, as investment flowed in and as we maintained a free market environment that allowed competition and also allowed price discovery, people invested in the sector, towers came up, and now today you can virtually drive all the way from Abuja to Lagos and maybe you have few drop calls because the towers are more permeated. tower setup took time because it's an infrastructure issue. So I try not to overpromise, but what I say is that we've seen the investment in the last 1 year, over $500 million. We've seen investment in conversion centers done by the private sector. We've seen investment in data stations. It has gone from just mere 11. Today, there are about 64 of them.
So I'm also worried
So
about the
more
dangers
will come.
of CNG.
No, I think that's overblown. I think by now, I don't perceive as much skepticism when it comes to the issue of danger of CNG. People now understand that what they are currently using, the business as usual, which is petrol and diesel, is far, far, far more dangerous. Like I said, 18 times more explosive than
And you know,
than
Michael,
CNG.
I've always wondered.
So everybody understands that now, but we need to, of course, still handle
I have-
technology
I
responsibly.
have always wondered.
Yeah.
This CNG, they're going to stay in the boots. It covers, how do you carry your load if you're traveling? That's a total disadvantage.
Well, for conversion, and let me, again, like everything else in life, you have to make choices. For conversions, as time goes on, what will happen is, you have to understand this. Nigeria already has a current stock of about 12 million cars that uses petrol or diesel, right? The option is you go buy an OEM, that's originally equipment manufactured CNG vehicles where you don't need to put that in the boot, but it's already built into the vehicle, right? We could do that. Like, let's try to replace these 12 million vehicles and buy new vehicles. Of course, that's not practical. What we're saying is, with just less than $500, you can turn your current vehicle that is using petrol to use a fuel that is 75 to 80% cheaper than what you currently use.
And then the question
of course, you have a
reducing
backup
the
energy.
costs.
It will happen. Again, like I said, free market. Don't let's jump into the temptation of trying to do price control. Just like the president, I believe very strongly that when we let the market work, it gets cheaper. The first GSM phone I bought was in 2002. It cost me, just with what they call a touchlight Nokia phone, about $5,000, about 50,000 naira then in 2002 if you look at the exchange rate. Today, that SIM card is free. That Nokia phone probably cost me less than 2,000 naira.
All right, Michael Oluwagbemi, the Program Director, Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative. Thank you for being on the program. We just hope that this gives to Nigerians what they expect, which is to reduce the standard cost of living, transportation, which has been cutthroat, one must say.
It will happen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so
being on
much.
the
Thanks for
program.
having me.